All right, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the You Unlimited podcast. I'm so grateful you're here. And if you're here, you were magnetized in for a very specific reason because we're going to be talking about healing the hustle, how to actually bring in more ease and flow when it comes to success, money, what it is that we desire to be resourced to do. And so it's going to be a very empowering episode. And my prayer is that as you lean in, you get some golden nuggets on how to maybe shift the way that you've been showing up so far so that you can actually show up from a grounded space and from a way to really amplify what you desire, stepping into this new version of self. So, today we're going to be digging into how to heal the hustle, right? I think myself included, when I went from, doing full-time corporate, which honestly, it was like time and a half, like I think I was working like 60 hours a week. I was really hustling and was trying to build this on the side. Eventually I did the trust fall where I'm like, okay, yes, I'd like to be able to replace my corporate income with this income, but how am I going to do that if I only have, 10 hours a week to be able to dedicate to this? It doesn't really make sense. And then I had a baby and it was like, all right, something's got to give. It's not going to be my baby. It's not going to be my, the business baby, if you will. So I was like, I'm releasing corporate. Let's move on. And so it was a really powerful shift. But what I recognized was I was starting to bring a lot of the corporate mentality into my own business and it wasn't serving me. So I know when I first started out, I was like, okay, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like, let me stack my calls this way. And I just remember in corporate having, I looked at my calendar. I'm like, when am I peeing today? When am I eating today? Like, what is happening? And I just remember the calendar being so stacked and simultaneously, there's still being like, there were still so many things that needed to be done in between, the calls. And so I started recognizing that I was setting myself up in business from a trauma response, which was me thinking that I needed to over deliver in order to be enough, in order to be worthy. And what was very interesting about that time in my life where I was completely pushing and over delivering and, you know, grinding it out was I was not, well, I wouldn't say I wasn't, but it took a really long time, even as I was pouring in, 60 hours a week to get raises, to get promoted, to get, all the things that I wanted, even as I was quote unquote overcompensating to say, like, but look at me, I'm working so hard. I should be able to get this. Like, I deserve this, and so what was interesting was my energy, while I thought that was going to get me what I wanted faster, it actually put me in an energy of scarcity because I had scarcity around time, I had scarcity around money, I had scarcity around all things in my life. And so if you're in, just like I was, if you're in that space of scarcity where you feel like there's not enough time to get stuff done, then more than likely you are not at your full expansion yet. And granted, we're always expanding, but full expansion into what capacity you have for wealth to move through you. Because I was working 60 hours a week. I was definitely overworked, underpaid, and promised raises, promised promotions, and then they would happen like a year later. And I just remember being like, why is this taking so long? And it's like, because I was in the energy of scarcity. And so therefore I was creating my reality of scarcity, which wasn't serving me. So I want you to start to take a look at your business, or let this at least be a catalyst or a golden nugget to take a look at your business to say, where exactly in my life and business have I set myself up for not actually being able to step into the next level version of self because I'm holding an old identity? So I think this could be really empowering to start to really tune into, where am I holding on to an old identity? For me, when I started to really tune back into what I thought success looked like, I, witnessed my father, who really overworked himself a lot. And, he would be gone all day long. I think he got home at maybe 7 or something. I can't really remember, but I just remember it was like very, very long days. So we really only saw my dad on like the weekends, and then he'd still be taking calls. And so the messaging that I received, because he was incredibly successful, was you have to work your butt off to get to the level of success that I witnessed my dad at. Right. And so it was very interesting because that was, first of all, the programming I had. You have to work hard in order to be seen, witnessed enough, and get what you want. So I made that my MO in business, in life, which was, I'm just going to keep grinding until people think that I'm enough. And it's so much deeper than that. It's like, where does that really root from? Where does that stem from? Yes, there's a childhood memory of some of the programming that I witnessed within my father, but there's also a moment of starting to pause and say, well, wait, where else did I feel like I wasn't enough when I was a child? When did that moment first happen that I felt like I was not enough? And so I had to start to revisit those moments in time and either rewrite the memory, which is something I do with my clients all the time, so I can facilitate that with myself. Or I had to go in and reparent myself through that experience of like reminding myself what was actually true. So when I would go back in time, revisit the memory, sometimes the people that were our caregivers, they just didn't have the tools to be able to guide us through that experience the way that our soul desired or needed. And so it's really important for us to say, well, let me go back into that moment in time and start to rewrite that memory so that I'm now operating from something different. It's actually incredibly empowering. And so, a lot of people will say time isn't real, right? So let's think about that for a second and start to, pull that apart. Essentially, what they're meaning is the only real moment that's happening is now, this moment right here, right now. So, what are you copying and pasting from the past and having it mean about you right here, right now? What are you copying and pasting? What are those memories that are no longer serving you that can be rewritten? So whenever I did that, it became incredibly healing. And so I've given this example before, but I remember when I first launched this podcast and I had everything ready, all set up, all the episodes edited, everything. And it was the day before it launched. It was like 1/11/24, naturally angel numbers. And I remember the day before it launched, I was like, I can't do it. I'm too scared. I'm too scared. And I couldn't rationalize the fear. So I'm like, I'm on a microphone all the time. I'm talking to clients all the time. Like, what's the difference? And what I recognized was there was a moment in time where I had a singing solo in seventh grade. And I remember my voice cracking while I was singing. And all of a sudden, all these kids are making fun of me. They're like, "Did you hear that? Your voice cracked." And I'm like, "Yeah, biatch, like everyone heard that. I was on the loudspeaker. So everyone in this auditorium definitely heard my voice crack. So yeah, I heard it crack." So it was one of those moments where I just remember the memory or the thing that I wrote at that moment in time was, it's not safe to have a microphone. It amplifies all of your mistakes. And so I remember carrying that with me. And it wasn't until I had this beautiful moment, mirror moment of launching my podcast, of recognizing, oh, I'm carrying this burden, I'm copying and pasting this old story into this present moment, the only real moment that is happening, which is now. And I'm having this mean something about me, my success, how easy it comes to me, and or not. And so I did this really powerful clearing where I went back into that memory. I rewrote it. I allowed it to be exactly what I desired for it to be, which was I sang it beautifully. I felt so proud of myself, first and foremost, so that when people were like, that was amazing, it was more the sprinkles on top than me needing them to fill the void, because people are mirroring back what's happening within us. And so it's really powerful for me to go back, rewrite the memory. I then launched the podcast and it became a top podcast worldwide shortly thereafter. I think it was like a couple months after. And I was like, wow, like this wasn't even about me. This podcast has never been about me, right? Like this podcast has always been an opportunity where I say, like, let me be a conduit for the messages that people's souls are most desiring to receive today. Allow me to be that conduit. So if I had let myself block myself from launching this podcast, it would not have gotten into the hands of yourself or other people that were desiring to receive some sort of a golden nugget or some sort of medicine from each of the episodes that has shifted their perspective, your perspective on something that maybe you needed most in the moment. So it's really powerful when we go in and we start to recognize, what are these old identities I'm holding on to that are no longer serving me, and how can I start to rewrite those so that I step into a brand new version of myself that actually amplifies where I desire to go. So one of the ways that I do that is, yes, I go back in and I heal the old versions of myself that aren't serving me, right? And then I really want to step into, what is my new identity? So when you think about having more ease and flow in your day, more spaciousness to call in what it is that you desire, that's where I start to lean into the exercise called the 7-figure shift. And this exercise in particular, you can utilize for anything you're manifesting. So it's not just about calling in 7 figures, it's about calling in everything that your soul desires most, and how do you get your body on board with what you desire to create, right? And so when our body feels safe to receive, it opens us up to actually receive. If there's a part of us that feels unsafe receiving, we're going to block it subconsciously all day long. So it's a nervous system regulation exercise that's going to allow you to receive the thing you desire most, right? And so whatever it is you're desiring to receive, absolutely step into that exercise because it's going to actually calm your nervous system and have you feel safe to step into that new identity of the version of you that allows success to flow to you, whatever that looks like, and that feel normalized. It's so important to normalize success in the body because the second that we do that, it allows us to actually peacefully flow towards us because we're like, that's normal. That feels good for me. So if you haven't yet grabbed that, absolutely drop down into the show notes. It's called the 7-figure shift. Again, it's like a cute name that ChatGPT came up with, but ultimately it's a nervous system regulation exercise that allows you to start to really tune into your body and say, but do I feel safe to receive that yet? And if not, let me tell my nervous system and my body it's safe to receive. It's safe to have more spaciousness in my calendar. It's safe to pick up my kids early from school, right? And so that's why I think it's really important and powerful to start to really tune into what's the old identity, how can I shift it, and what's the new identity I want to step into. And let me bring safety into that experience. Because if you don't feel safe stepping into a new identity, you'll block progress all day long, or you'll come up with excuses all day long that just don't feel good in your body. So it's going to be really empowering to start to really tune into that. And it's also really empowering to start to tune into what exactly do I want and why do I want it? So, when we think about this next level version of success, it's really powerful for us to start to tune into, but why do I want that? Right? Or why do I want to feel resourced in a different way? So, it's not about if you've been in my world at all for like 10 minutes or forever, you know that when I talk about money, it's not about just the money. It's about what is it resourcing you to be able to really do and step into? And so it's really important for us to start to tune into how is my new identity with money shifting so that I can say yes to all the things that feel like they're in alignment with me and no to all the things that feel like they're out of alignment with me, right? So, what is that money going to allow me to do? That's actually going to be how you step into the new identity a lot faster because it's not about the I'm a 7-figure business owner, I'm 8-figure, whatever the number is. Yes. And we want to feel it more in our body. How do we feel it more? It's about what is that money allowing us to actually do. For me, when I think about that, I think when I am well resourced, it allows me to be present with the people that I love most. It allows me to buy the foods that nourish my body and nourish my family's bodies the most. It allows me to pick a school that feels safe for my children. It allows me to be able to say, again, yes to transformative mentorships and masterminds and continued education that feels like it's in alignment with me without having to overthink it, right? It allows me to be able to wear clothing that feels good on my body, that I feel confident in, that I feel the material just feels good, right? So it's really powerful when we tune into what is our why and what is our deepest level of why, and allow that to be the new identity you're stepping into when you use the 7-figure shift, right? Because you want it to not just be like, oh, I'm making this amount of money. It's like, how will that have you, what will it have you feel? And what will that allow you to then do? And it's really going to amplify the exercise because you're going to be really tuned into the fact that, like, wow, I get to pick up my child early from school every day. It's really empowering. So I think it's a beautiful way to start to actually tune in and say, you know what? What if I actually start to put this hustle to the side and there's a new way of doing things? And so this was all about really tuning into how can I heal the old hustle mindset? Because honestly, hustling, grinding, pushing is a trauma response. And why do we have that? Where do we feel like we have to be pushing all the time in order to be enough? Where do I not feel safe to hand something off to someone? All of these things are really empowering to start to tune into because it will be very individualized to you as to why maybe you've been pushing or hustling and things of that nature. So it's really powerful to take a minute, take a look at where you're at and where these stories have come from, start to really heal those, and then start to really lean into how can I really code in this new identity in a way that feels aligned and allows me to step into this next level version of self with so much more ease and flow. So, this is my prayer for you is that you're living the life that your soul desires most. You came here to experience life in the way that your soul desires to experience it in this lifetime. When we are well resourced, you can say yes to everything that's in alignment with your soul and no to everything that's out of alignment with your soul. So let's start to step into that identity now, because my assumption, if you're tuning into this podcast, is that your goal is not just to make the money. Your goal is to make that money so that you can X, Y, Z, whatever that looks like. Be present with your loved ones. Be able to say yes to everything that feels good for you. Like, be thinking about what those things are so that you can start to really amplify that identity and step into her now or step into him now. It's really, really empowering and a beautiful exercise to tune into. And it's very aligned with the cosmos to start to tune into what was the old identity I need to shift and release, and what is the new identity I want to step into. How do I create safety around that experience so that I can start to release the hustle? And where did the hustle first come from? Why do I feel like that's my only way of really leaning in and creating what I desire? Because as I mentioned before, hustle is only going to be mirrored back to you from the people around you. So if you're in this hamster wheel of burnout, of chaos, of pushing, you're going to attract in clients that are also in the chaos, the pushing. And so it's your job is going to feel that much harder. It's going to feel like a job, right? Because if you're in that space, now you've amplified and kind of brought in clients that are going to push you, that are going to bring in chaotic energy, and it's not going to feel good. But the more that you're rooted and grounded in, I feel peace in my body, I know that the money is coming, I don't have to push myself in order to attract in the right people, like really tuning into all of that. And then from there, now you're attracting in clients that are on a similar wavelength. So they're not pushing you, they're present, they're loving, they're accepting, they get it when, let's say, an emergency pops up, right? Or things of that nature. Life is going to happen. And so it's really beautiful to surround ourselves with people that are in the energy that we desire to be in, but we have to go first. We have to lead, and the world follows in a really powerful way. So I hope that you receive something beautiful, some golden nugget today that you can take and really start to revisit, like, is the energy I'm in right now serving me, or can I shift it so that I can be more present for X, so that I can live the life that I desire? Because I think we as a collective are waking up to the fact that we don't need to wait until we retire to enjoy life, right? Let's enjoy life today. Let's enjoy life in the only real moment that is now. And how can you start to do that? And that's by setting your life up and your day up in a way that gives you spaciousness to really appreciate your why, to be present to your why. So, okay, I'm sending you so much light and love, and I cannot wait to see what you start to manifest in your life by making even tiny tweaks that could really allow you to amplify everything that you desire in this lifetime. So, I'm sending you so much light and love, and until next time. Mwah.